Hey there, it's Mike Field with Field Realty, and we are talking about the December 2020 housing market update right now. So what we're going to cover here on today's episode is the four major counties: Albany, Rensselaer, Saratoga, and Schenectady. And we're going to take a close look at the number of new listings that came on the market, the number of contracts that were signed, the number of closings that occurred, and the absorption rates. And this portion, my friends, is the eye-opener for me for this past month. Let's compare the number of new listings for this past month and then compare that to a year ago. We saw a 43% increase in the number of new listings to hit the market this past month, which was the highest we saw all year. With that jump, we are now 17% higher in the total number of new listings in 2020 compared to 2019. Let's talk about the contracts signed. This past month, we were only 12% higher in terms of the total number of contracts signed year over year. Now, I say only because for the past months leading up to this, we saw numbers as high as 38% and as low as 14%, which was back in October. The previous low prior to October was back in May. So we now know that the highest months of contracts written was clearly between June and September. We saw an 11% increase in the total number of closed sales year over year. Let's talk about the days on market. And this number represents the amount of time a property sits on the market prior to the sellers accepting a contract. The average days on market is down to just 30. In 2019, that number was 42. And of the four major counties that we track, for the fourth month in a row, Schenectady had the lowest figures at 23 days on market. Next, we'll get into the absorption rates. And as I mentioned earlier, this figure is the one that really stood out. Right now, the overall market absorption rate is just 2.64. Now, this is the lowest score we've seen in over 12 months. In fact, for the markets we track, 67% of those are favoring sellers. Let's talk about what it means to be a pro-seller market. When we run the analysis, 0 to 3 is a seller's market, 3 to 4 is neutral, and 4 and above is the buyer's market. Each month, we analyze where that break is, where it becomes a seller's market into a buyer's market. For the last few months, we've seen a hardline break at the price points of $300,000 or $325,000. Right now, there is no definitive split because there's pro-seller markets all the way up to $500,000. For example, between the price point of $475,000 and $500,000, Guilderland, Niskayuna, and Saratoga are all below a score of 3. Shenendehowa, North County, and the Albany school districts have the 3 lowest overall absorption rate scores, respectively. One thing that surprised me was to see that Albany school district made the rankings on that list. Now more than ever, experience matters in today's market. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate in the capital region, call, text, or send a message today so one of the field team members can follow up and assist you with your real estate needs. And that, my friends, is what we call the home field advantage.